I started making consistent six figures just 7 months into my first SDR role. And during that time, before promoting into account executive, have hit multiple 10K plus months. And today I'm going to be breaking down exactly the daily schedule that I obsessed over and have also invested thousands and thousands of dollars into mentorship for performance sales coaching from President's Club level people um, on how to build the perfect day in tech sales and overperform without having to overwork and actually creating more free time for yourself, because there's a lot of people working their ass off in these roles that aren't even getting the results. So I just want you to note that the things I'm going to show you, I want you to proceed with an open mind, okay? Sometimes the most simplest thing, if done correctly, is going to dramatically change your life, right? The more complex that you get about your daily calendar, your productivity hacks and stuff, the more complexity that there is in your day, the more fatigue your brain actually has, right? The simpler you can make your day, the simple principles that you can lean on, the more you're actually going to be able to cut all the fluff and just laser hone in on your actual goal and what you want to achieve and each time block that you have to go toward that. So let's go into it. Okay guys, so we're at the drawing board here. So before we get into what these blocks are, and by the way, this is exactly what my calendar looked like to make 10K plus months at one of the most competitive companies in the space, HubSpot, okay? You know that. Okay, before any of this can even work, you need to have a why, okay? So I've worked with so many different SDRs, account executives, and I've also been coached by very credible people who have hit massive amounts in revenue, hit massive achievements like President Club, and have been mentored by them personally. And one of the biggest problems people have in sales, and it's also the reason why people burn out, is they don't have a mission or a why, right? Think about why you do anything. Why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you work? Right? You may have some surface level kind of understanding of like, yeah, well, I need to make money so I can enjoy life, right? But what we don't realize is every single person on this planet has a deeper why. They have an actual deeper why, right? A lot of people have a deeper craving for meaning in life. And if you can actually tap into that, a lot of times it's unconscious to you, but everybody has this, right? If you can tap into that, that's going to be where your drive is going to come from. And it's going to make any of your productivity tactics be 10 times more potent. Why? Because it's a drive. It's a natural drive that adds extra gears to your brain. It gives you extra energy, right? Does that make sense? So what you want to have is a mission and a goal, and you want to keep it close by you when you work, before you start work. Because what happens with us humans is we tend to forget. We tend to forget why we're doing what we're doing. We tend to roll into the motions and just go with the flow. And that can cause us to get stagnant. It can cause us to get complacent. It can cause us to even get lazy. And a lot of times, this is what causes reps in tech sales to quit. It's what causes them to quit and, get out when stuff hits the fan and stuff gets hard, because sales has ups and downs. There's no escaping that. And it's one of the best roles to actually become the type of person who can build independence or be an entrepreneur, be successful in entrepreneurship eventually, or whatever that is for you, whatever your long-term goals are. Because you're learning how to be a person who can handle risk, handle uncertainty, manage their emotions, right? So anyways, you want to remind yourself day by day why you're doing what you're doing. So I used to have, and I still do this today, by the way, all this stuff works in business. It's just managing your time in general, right? A lot of people are just leaving their day up to the wind and they're just kind of la-di-da, right? That's not how you're going to actually achieve something of stature. You need to add structure to your day, right? What's the difference between you and Jeff Bezos? How you spend your time and energy, and of course the vehicle that you're going into, which he's in entrepreneurship, right? And a lot of these biggest entrepreneurs out there, Mark Cuban, Warren Buffett, like these people, they've all started in sales or used sales to some degree, right? There's never been an entrepreneur that has regrets about learning sales or working a sales job before they knew what they wanted to go do in business, okay? And that's one of the things that got me into this. But anyways, here's your why, right? So it can be something as simple as build independence, right? Maybe you want to build skills, you want to build income, freedom. Maybe you're someone who's working an hourly job and it's kind of just getting paid by the hour, and it's a slow lane incremental path to the money that you actually want to make. And it's also not a vehicle that you want to spend time in, because you have no freedom. You got to clock in at this time, clock out at this time. You don't have any control over where you work, how you work, when you work, okay? And this is the other thing that drew me towards sales, which is a performance-based role and income stream and revenue generating vehicle, okay? But maybe that's your reason, right? I know this is some of mine, right? You want to be independent. You don't want to rely on someone else for income. If you can download these sales skills, which I teach you guys on my channel and my content, you can become independent. Okay, I now have this skill that I can do from anywhere in the world. Okay, now at the start, you may want to start in your country, right? Because that's the lowest barrier to entry. You get a role in your country before you start kind of negotiating, working for other companies. I mean, there's always companies out there. There's always opportunities no matter where you are. But okay, so that's one of the biggest things, all right? And by the way, guys, if you want to check out my free guide to break into tech sales, if you're interested in learning about what tech sales is deeper and literally the step-by-step approach that I take to stand out among hundreds and hundreds of people, this guide alone this guide alone in the third link in the description, it's literally changed people's lives. People have read that book and literally have gotten roles on their own. It somehow has become really famous on like Reddit and stuff for people talking about tech sales. So you don't want to miss that. Check that out. It's the third link in the description if you want to download that for free. Okay, so maybe you want to become a high performer and a capable person, like I said before, but become someone who's capable of attracting the income that you're after, right? Maybe you don't want to settle for an average life. Okay, I talk a lot about how just climbing the corporate ladder at an hourly wage job just it's not the path that's going to help you, be above average, right? Everybody's doing that. There's no leverage, right? You get paid the same no matter how much energy you put into an hour. Okay, that's a low leverage life. It's an average life that, yes, maybe certain roles have income potential there, but still you have to trade a certain amount of time for that, right? And so this is something different, right? Maybe you want to be able to help your family and loved ones and inspire people. Maybe you want to move into a luxury apartment, move out of your parents' basement, okay? These are all things that I wanted to do that I ended up achieving within a very short time getting into this vehicle, okay? And then you want to remind yourself of this often, right? Because this can pull on the strings in your emotions, right? Humans are driven by emotions, okay? This is sales 101. And so you don't only just want to use that to sell, you want to use it for yourself to motivate yourself, right? Okay, so this can help you. If you look at this in the morning before logging on to work, I guarantee you you're gonna perform better, more potently, and with more oomph than anybody who hasn't like revisited their why for what they're doing and why they're in sales. Okay, so this is one of the things that makes everything click. Now, even further than that, you can even set a specific goal. Okay. So if you're trying to hit something and you haven't like mapped out a clear goal and you haven't set the goal, there's something psychologically that's gonna just keep you in indecision. It's gonna keep you in 1 foot in and 1 foot out mode, okay? And so one thing that I did was I got super specific on what goal I wanted and when, okay? And when you do that, something happens in your brain. You activate higher levels of energy. You activate extra gears in your brain because you've now committed to yourself that, hey, I'm shooting for this. Now I better try and make it happen, okay? And this is how you can do it quicker than most people will. And you can also break down, okay, I want to make 6 figures by September or 10K a month by September. How much do I need to sell to do that, right? And so this is where, and this is what I help people in my one-on-one mentorship as well, which, first link in the description if you want to apply for that, but more on that later. You want to break down exactly what you need in terms of this is called sales math. You break down how many meetings do you need to book per month, or how much do you need to sell per month if you're an account executive, right? So, this is possible in whatever role, SDR, account executive, okay? But having a specific goal is going to add extra drive, extra oomph, like I said before, okay? So now let's get into each day. So what are we doing? So before we even do anything, before we schedule anything, we have to schedule when we're not allowed to work, okay? This might sound crazy, but a lot of you guys are getting into sales because you want more freedom, okay? Now, the mistake that people make is they just go, 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 okay? And that is actually a illusion. They think that they'll make more money if they work more. That's an illusion to a degree, okay? When I first got into HubSpot, I was just motivated to work as much as possible. I was honestly starting to work at like 8 to 6 p.m., okay? That's crazy, Okay, I ended up getting way down from that and working less than a 9-to-5 job and getting amazing results. But here's the thing, okay? The thing about having what you need is a cutoff time. You need a set cutoff time, and there's psychological reasons for this. The first thing is, if you have a set cutoff time, if you know that, okay, at 4 or 5 p.m., I'm not allowed to work, if your brain is set in that, then when you do work, it's going to be more potent, and you're going to put more energy into it, and it's going to be easier to put more energy into it because you're committed that you're not going to work at 5. Now, what ended up happening when I started and I didn't have a set cutoff time was I ended up putting things off and saying, I have all day, or I'll just do this later at the end of the day, or I'll just, I'll work late tonight and just finish that up. And it made me be lazy throughout my day. Now, yes, I was still getting work done, but it kind of made me be lazy and put off things that were important and hard until the end of the day. And then I ended up having to work so hard, and then I ended up not having any time to recharge, right? I would be burnt out after Tuesday happened, right? And so what you need is a set cutoff time to commit to. And this is going to also make your brain happy. It's going to make your brain be like, I'm more motivated to work now because I actually know I have free time at the end of the day and lots of it, okay? So you want to have a set cutoff time, and you also want to have a set start time, right? If you're waking up in the day and you don't even know when you're going to log on, you're not taking advantage of another principle called rhythm, okay? Human beings operate in rhythms, okay? We're creatures of habit. Have you ever heard that? Creatures of habit, okay? You wake up, you brush your teeth, you don't even think about it. You wake up, you shower, you don't even think about it, right? You go to bed, you sleep, you don't even think about it, okay? If you can access rhythm in your day, that's going to make it so much better. And so have a general time when you start work, right? Allow your brain to prepare in its subconscious without you having to do anything, knowing that at X time, usually you work. And what happens to then is your brain's always going to get itself ready automatically to work when that time comes, okay? Now you can change it and play around with it and then get used to that rhythm, but if you operate with a rhythm, I guarantee you're going to access more power, focus, and performance for yourself, okay? So have a start time and a set cutoff time. That's the first thing, guys. Okay, the next thing I want to cover is 80-20s. Okay, the 80-20 principle, if you don't know anything about it, is basically it's a law of the universe, okay? It's unescapable. If you look at any kind of economy, any business, anything, there's usually 20% of things, 20% of activities, or 20% of anything that yields 80% of something's results. Okay, and this is true for so many things, all right? An example is in sales, right? There's usually 20% of prospects that you're calling that actually book meetings, okay? So, not every prospect you're calling is gonna book a meeting, right? Does that make sense? So, what you want to do is there's also 20% of activities that you do that yield you the outcomes you're after in terms of meetings booked, right? That's the main thing for an SDR, meetings booked, but quality meetings booked that actually, show up and actually end up leading to revenue so you can promote, right? Okay, so you want to know your 80-20s. You want to know what 20% of activities yield you 80% of results, because I'll tell you this right now, and I struggled with this at the start. I used to spend my day scattered. I used to be checking Slack, checking email, doing some calls, but then looking at my dashboard, doing this, and just, constantly just scatterbrained, okay? And I didn't know exactly, I didn't have the simplicity to just, be confident that I was spending each hour wisely. I would be like, what's the next best thing I can do? What's the next best? And so I didn't get clear on my 80-20s, and it caused me to be super scattered and lose a chunk out of each month to just scattered energy that never yielded to any results. Okay? And so what you want to do is break down the 80-20s. Now I'll tell you the 80-20s of the SDR role, because this is something I obsessed over, and this is something that's true for everybody, okay? And this is actually true for sales in general, regardless of what role you're in, okay? There's pipeline acceleration, pipeline generation, and then learning and development. Okay, those are the three 80-20s. There's only three, okay? Only three. Those are the 20% of activities that yield 80% of the results, okay? And if you can just hammer those, and I'll explain what they are, each block, then you're going to succeed majorly. So these are them, all right? So pipeline acceleration, what is that? Well, that's staying on top of follow-ups. People who told you, hey, follow up X time, or people who said, you know, they wanted to book a meeting, but now you don't hear from them, you follow up with them, right? So this is one block that you can put anywhere in your day, in between your cutoff time and your start time, okay? So for a certain amount of time each day, you're gonna focus on this 80-20. Now I find that you don't need so much time to do this. I usually used to do this in the middle of the day or whenever I needed to. And this is another thing about the calendar, guys. This is adaptable, okay? Some people do like repeated, I'm gonna do the same thing every day over and over. I don't find that works because some days you have different meetings at different times. Some days you want to go to the gym here, or some days you want to do this, right? And so I like to make each day fluid and their own block. And then I usually just duplicate it over, okay? I duplicate it over and I do this for the whole week. And then when Monday comes, I plan the next day, but we're gonna get into that, okay? So pipeline acceleration is literally just following up with people, okay? So you need time for that, okay? And there's pipeline generation. Pipeline generation. Okay, there's two things in this, okay? We're gonna be outreaching people, okay? We're gonna be finding new companies to reach out to if you're in SaaS, okay? You're gonna be finding new business, right, basically. And you're gonna be emailing them and calling them, okay? Now what I did was I combined finding new companies to writing them emails and sending them out. Reason being is because that saves me so much time. So if I'm going to prospect, it's called prospecting. If I'm going to search for new companies out there, you know, I might as well write emails while I'm there because I'm already doing the research. I'm already doing the research on the company and the people there and who the best person to reach out to is and why I want to reach out to them. I might as well just use an email. So I would just have AI right next to me and I would be speaking to text. I would be like, all right, I'm looking at this company. It looks like they've been growing since, you know, for the last couple years. It looks like they've hired new team members. You know, let me write an email to Jennifer and let's call out that I see that she's like the marketing manager. It looks like she, you know, has been, you know, just hired someone new. I'm wondering, you know, how, like, I have more videos on cold outreach, but by the way, so I combined those two and I made that just called outreach. So this is where I outreached new companies, new people, and I got them enrolled in a sequence or I sent them an email, okay? Not everybody uses sequences. Sequences where it like sends automatic emails that you customize. Very powerful, but okay, so that's one block, right? So that's one of the 80-20s. So, and then the other part of pipeline generation is calling, right? So I would usually call at a separate time because there's something called Pomodoro, okay? Pomodoro is when you focus on one task at a time, you get more of it done. Your brain can just go, you know, put its all into that task. If you continue switching, if you like go do that and then do that and then do this and then that, you're switching, right? And switching, let me just crack my neck. Switching is going to cause fatigue in your brain. It's going to causes decision fatigue. It just doesn't give you the maximum potency you can pour into each hour. Okay, so I used to do outreaching new companies, finding and emailing them, and then calling at a separate time. And this is so powerful to do after I've emailed them because when I go to call, I use the email as my intel, right? And this is a big tip in tech sales if you're an SDR, okay? Use your email as the intel, right? So usually when you call someone, you have a reason for calling them, okay? Now the better your email is, the better your reason for calling will be, okay? You have custom research. You have, usually in your email, you want to have challenges that they might be facing that you've called out, right? You want to have some things to call out and that you observe about the company to show them that you know them and that you're not just a cold caller, that you're actually a warm caller who's done their research. So I would lean on my email that I wrote when I made calls, and this allowed me to make a high volume of calls extremely quickly, okay? Because I was reading from my email in terms of like using that as the information I gathered when I did my research. So I don't have to like do research again, you see? So it's super efficient, guys. I've obsessed about this for years, guys, okay? So that's it. Pipeline generation, pipeline acceleration. I know it's stupid simple. It's stupid simple, right? It's stupid simple. But simple allows you to get results because 20% of activities are simple, right? You just need 20% of activities to yield you 80% of results, okay? And the more you do that, the more you can perform. So you simplify things, okay? Now the other 80-20 is learning and development. Now here's the thing about learning and development. When I first started at HubSpot, I struggled for longer. I struggled at the start, okay? Yes, I had amazing ramp and I crushed it, but I ended up struggling. I even had a month where I hit like 40% of quota, okay? And this was because I was not spending time sharpening my skill set each day and learning from top performers, okay? So when you actually carve in each day just at least one chunk of time to learn something new, whether it's product knowledge, whether it's listening to calls from a top performer, or even one call, okay? Whether it's listening to your call back to yourself to learn and get feedback from it, that's going to make you exponentially get better. It's going to make you exponentially get better, what does that mean? It means the role exponentially gets easier, okay? Because this role isn't easy, but we don't want it to be easy because then everyone will be doing it and we get paid nothing in it, okay? But we don't complain that it's not easy. We be better. We get better at it until it becomes easy. Okay, so it's not easy for the beginner, but the better you get at it, it becomes a no-brainer. It becomes easy. So you want to wish that you were better. You don't want to wish that it was easier, okay? That's a mindset switch too. So the way to get better and make this thing easier quicker so that you can hit your income goals quicker is to learn every day. And my recommendation for that is to listen to calls being booked as an SDR. Calls being booked from top performers. This is the number one ROI thing you can do, because what gets you results and what gets you to hit quota and what gets you to make commission is booking meetings, booking quality meetings that deliver. Okay, so if you just marinate your brain enough with what top performers sound like, you're going to succeed, okay? You're going to subconsciously start picking up cues and understanding how this role works and how to actually book meetings correctly. And then you'll find that when you're on the call, you'll just know what to say. It'll just come to you automatically. So you don't have to get nervous and anxious. It's going to give you, and then you're going to exponentially improve, okay? And this is going to make the job exponentially easier instead of having to do the same activity that you're busting your ass for to just hit quota, okay? You're going to have to repeat that if you're not learning and developing. Your curve's going to look like this instead, okay? You don't want that. You're going to burn out that way, okay? You see? So it's a sacrifice in the short term for a long-term payoff, because sometimes it's hard to carve in 45 minutes to learn and develop when you're trying to do tons of activity, but you gotta slow down to speed up sometimes, okay? Don't sleep on that. All right, now the other block is just admin, okay? Now this allows you to focus on your 80/20s with more potency if you have a block dedicated to admin, because admin can be anything. It can be something your manager asked you for. It can be an email that you need to reply to. It could be a Slack message you need to send or a reply back to, anything, guys. But the thing is, here's a rule, okay? If you have a block dedicated to that, whenever something comes up, you can just write it down in this block. You can write it down. You can come in and go answer Slack, you save it, right? And then when you go to admin, you go check it, right? You then go check it and you can bang it out in that dedicated time, because you're utilizing Pomodoro. You're focusing on one thing at a time, and it allows you to take that off your brain without it messing with you, so you can get back to doing your potent 80/20, okay? So this is literally the key, guys. Now here's another rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, you can just do it on the fly, right? Now it's good not to be distracted during your blocks, during your time blocks, but if something takes less than 2 minutes, you can do that, right? Okay, and then just get it done, right? But if it's more than 2 minutes, put it in your admin block, okay? And the other thing in your admin block is you want to plan tomorrow the night before. And this is so powerful, because if you plan the next day before you log off, you're going to know, okay, you're going to give your subconscious, while you're sleeping, your subconscious is already going to be planning what it's going to do during that time. And so if you just orient these blocks, let's say you have a meeting here, and you kind of have to move your follow-up, right? Let's say you have a long meeting, and you just make sure that you're hitting as much 80/20s as you need with your sales math, right, for your goal each day, right, or each week. And you can look at each week. Do I think that this structure and this amount of time blocks is going to help me get to that goal? Yes or no, right? So many people are not operating with any structure, and they're just leaving themselves up to the wind, and it's honestly causing you to work more. It sounds easier. It sounds easier to just be fluid and la-di-da in your day and not commit to time, but it's not. You are not going to be as potent, okay? Your brain's not going to be working with you, okay? If you respect respect each time block that you set and you commit to it while maintaining being adaptable, because everything changes. Sometimes you want to be like, all right, you know what, I'm going to go eat. I'm going to cut today short. If you can afford it, if you want to sacrifice that time for your goal, or if you think that you're ahead of the curve and you earned that time, totally okay, right? You can kind of like adapt. You don't have to do it every single day. You can adapt, right? Maybe delete and then go out, right? Or something, whatever, right? It's all up to you. It's all up to you, which makes time management so much more important, all right? This role is one of the most free roles you have, but it's one of the most responsibility-based roles you have, because with freedom comes responsibility, right? If you're just taking freedom and you just want to like chill all day in your bedroom in sweatpants and not work, okay, that's not going to help you sustain a career like this, right? And so you want to get good at time management. You want to be able to do this and respect the time that you allocate, right? And this is also freeing, because the more that you actually commit to your calendar, the more you can actually earn that free time and trust in it, all right? And now I always like to have open space too. So I don't always like to schedule every single thing, right? Like there's breaks, there's meals. You don't need to like write all that stuff down, right? Just leave yourself open space and just keep things clean, right? Just keep it open. Just like scheduling your 80/20s. I don't like scheduling in much else, right? You can do whatever you want in the open space. It doesn't matter, right? Like you don't need to like dial in on eating a meal. You don't need to, right? Just leave it open. Go take that meal and come back and only schedule in the stuff that's like 80/20. All right, and that's going to help you just remain simplicity. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you are struggling to break into tech sales and you're a bit overwhelmed by this process, or maybe you're struggling to perform in your role and you're a bit overwhelmed, having mentorship is a great way to fast track your progress, to achieve the income goals you want, the job goal you want, the performance goal you want. And if you want help with this, this is what I do in my one-on-one mentorship, where it's directly with me, holding your hand, walking you through step by step exactly how to achieve your goal in tech sales. I mentor you on all stages of the process, right? Wherever you are, okay? And I've worked with people with zero experience, zero college degree. You don't need anything to get into this except a laptop connection, a Wi-Fi connection, okay? So we do this in 90 days. If you'd like to learn more about that, first link in the description is where you can book a no pressure call with me. And that call is usually just to see if it makes sense for us to work together. It's super no pressure. We usually just get to know each other, and I offer you some tips either way. So usually people get value out of it either way. First link for that if you want to book that with me. All right. And for those who maybe aren't able to afford one-on-one mentorship with me, that's totally cool. I've recently launched a live community, right? There's people coming in there all the time. We have group calls once a week where pretty much everybody in the call gets to get their questions answered, and they get to learn from the other people who are literally in the exact same shoes as them, trying to break into tech sales and also perform well, right? The community is structured to help you take you from absolute scratch to making six figures in tech sales, okay? So the second link in the description is where you can check that out. There's a video over there that talks about it as well. And then yeah, if you guys want a deeper breakdown on how to get into this vehicle, one of the videos on screen here somewhere, I don't know if it's right or left, is going to take you to that, where I have it free on YouTube here. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one wherever you are. I'm out for now. Take care. Bye.